You can have the cleanest proxy money can buy and still get every one of your accounts linked together in an afternoon, because the network is only one of the ways a platform spots you, and the one most people ignore is the browser itself. Today we are going through Antidetect browsers, the four names everyone argues about: Multilogin, GoLogin, Dolphin Anti, and AdsPower, and I will tell you which one actually fits which kind of operator. This is not my product, so you are getting the version with no sales pitch attached. Let me set expectations up front so this is useful. I run proxies and cloud phones. I do not sell an Antidetect browser, which means I have no horse in this race and no reason to push you toward the expensive one. I use these tools as an operator the same way you would. So this is a straight buyer guide, and I will be honest that for some of you, the free tier of one of these is genuinely all you need. Here is the plan. First, what an Antidetect browser actually does and the fingerprint problem it solves. Then the four big names compared honestly, what each is good at and who it is priced for. Then the thing nobody tells you, why the browser alone never saves you and what has to sit around it. So what is an Antidetect browser? When you visit a site, your normal browser quietly hands over a huge amount of identifying detail: your user agent, your screen size, your time zone, your language, the fonts you have installed, how your graphics card draws an image called canvas and WebGL fingerprinting, and dozens of other little signals. Taken together, that combination is often unique enough to identify your exact browser out of millions. So even if you change your IP, the same fingerprint walking up to 10 accounts tells the platform those 10 accounts are one person. It helps to know the actual signals these tools manage, because that is where the quality lives. Canvas fingerprinting asks your browser to draw a hidden image and reads back the tiny pixel differences your specific hardware and drivers produce. WebGL does the same with 3 days rendering and reports your graphics card by name. The audio context trick runs a silent sound through your audio stack and measures the math your machine spits out. Then there is the list of installed fonts, the precise rectangles text occupies on the page called Client Rects, the number of CPU cores reported as hardware concurrency, and the amount of memory the browser admits to. Each one is a small number, but stacked together they form a signature that is very hard to fake by accidents. Then there are the signals that have to agree with each other or you stand out instantly. Your user agent says you are on Windows, so your platform value had better also say Windows. Your fonts had better look like a Windows font list, and your WebGL had better report a card a Windows machine would have. Your time zone has to match the country of the IP you are coming from, because a profile that claims to be in Singapore while the clock says New York is a contradiction no real person produces. And WPIA's 13 video calls used can quietly leak your true IP straight past the proxy if the browser does not plug it, which throws away the whole disguise in one line. A good Antidetect browser keeps all of these consistent at once. An Antidetect browser fixes that by giving every account its own separate profile, each with its own consistent, believable fingerprint. Account 1 looks like a Windows machine in one city with one set of fonts and one canvas signature. Account 2 looks like a completely different computer. They do not share cookies, they do not share storage, and crucially, they do not share a fingerprint. So to the platform, they look like different people on different machines, which is the entire point. The key word there is believable. A bad Antidetect browser does not hide your fingerprint. It gives you a weird one that no real computer would ever have, and that is its own red flag. Think about it from the platform side. They have seen billions of real browsers, so they know what a normal one looks like. A profile reporting 0 fonts, a graphics card that does not exist, or a screen size no monitor ships with is not hidden. It is screaming. That is why a believable, consistent fingerprint beats a random one every time. You are not trying to be invisible, you are trying to look boring, like one more ordinary person among millions. The quality of the fingerprinting, how natural and consistent each profile looks, is the single most important thing separating a good Antidetect browser from a cheap one. So as we go through the names, that is the lens, not the feature list. Let us start at the top with Multilogin. It is the original, the one that more or less created this category, and it still has a reputation for the strongest, most natural fingerprinting and the most polished team features. Its fingerprint engine is the part people pay for, the masking is deep, and the profiles hold up on the strict targets where cheaper tools start getting flagged. It is also the most expensive by a clear margin, and there is no real free tier. You are paying a proper subscription from day one. So Multilogin is the choice for agencies and serious teams who manage a lot of profiles, need reliability, and treat this as core infrastructure they will not cut corners on. For one person experimenting, it is more than you need. Then there is GoLogin. It sits in the middle, more approachable on price, with cloud-based profiles you can reach from anywhere and share across a team. That cloud point matters more than it sounds. Because the profile lives on their servers, you can open the same account from your laptop today and a different machine tomorrow, and the fingerprint travels with it, which is exactly what you want when a team passes accounts around. It runs its own browser called Orbiter, a Chromium build tuned for this job, so it behaves like Chrome to the sites you visit. It has a limited free tier and trials, so you can actually try before you commit. The fingerprinting is solid, not quite Multilogin's reputation, but more than enough for most real work. GoLogin is a sensible default for a freelancer or small team who wants something serious without the enterprise price tag. Dolphin Anti is the one you see a lot among media buyers and affiliate people, partly because it has a genuinely generous free tier, a real stack of profiles at no cost, and partly because its automation features are strong. If you want to script actions across profiles, warm up accounts, or repeat the same steps over and over without doing it by hand, it is well liked for that. That is why the paid traffic crowd gravitates to it. When you are running the same play across 50 accounts, the automation is the whole job. So Dolphin is great value for someone running paid ads across many accounts or anyone who wants strong automation without paying much to start. AdsPower rounds out the four and is the budget heavyweight, hugely popular in the e-commerce and multi-account world because it is cheap, has a big free tier, and includes solid automation and an AP for scaling. It ships a local API and an RPA tool, so you can drive profiles from your own scripts and build flows without writing much code, which is why e-com and affiliate teams running real volume lean on it. It also has team roles, so you can hand staff access to specific profiles without giving away the whole account. The fingerprinting is good enough for a lot of use cases, and the price means people run dozens of profiles without flinching. AdsPower is the pick when you need many profiles cheaply and you care more about volume and automation than about having the absolute strongest fingerprints. So before the quick summary, here is how to actually choose, because the right pick depends on what you are doing, not on which name is loudest. First, fingerprint quality, the thing we already covered, which matters most on strict targets and matters less on soft ones. Second, how they price the profiles, because almost all of these charge by how many profiles you run at once, so your real monthly cost is just your account count times their tier. Third, cloud profiles versus local ones. Cloud means reachable anywhere and easy to share. Local means it lives on your machine and is faster and more private. Fourth, team sharing, whether you can hand an account to a teammate without handing over the password. Fifth, automation and an API, which is the difference between clicking by hand and scaling, and matters enormously the moment you pass a handful of accounts. Sixth, how cleanly it lets you attach a different proxy to each profile, because that is how you keep them apart on the network. And seventh, real isolation, separate cookies and local storage per profile, so a login in one never bleeds into another. Weigh those against your own work and the pick almost makes itself. So a quick honest summary before the catch. If you are a serious agency, Multilogin. If you want a balanced default, GoLogin. If you want strong automation and a generous free start, Dolphin Anti. If you want maximum cheap profiles with good automation, AdsPower. All four are legitimate. The differences are about fingerprint quality, price, and how much automation you need. And honestly, most people watching this should just start on a free tier and upgrade only when they hit a real limit. Now the part that matters more than which browser you pick, and the reason people with a great Antidetect setup still get banned. The browser only controls the browser fingerprint. It does nothing about your IP. If you run 10 beautifully isolated profiles and they all go out through the same data center address, the platform links them by network in seconds and your perfect fingerprints were pointless. An Antidetect browser without a clean proxy behind every profile is half a solution. That is the most common mistake I see. People spend on the browser and cheap out on the IP, and the IP is what gets them caught. Let me make that concrete. Picture someone who did the browser layer perfectly. 10 profiles, 10 flawless fingerprints. each one a believable separate machine, the fonts right, the canvas right, the time zones all set. Then to save money, they push all 10 through one cheap shared proxy, the kind 1,000 other people are also using. The platform does not even need to look at the fingerprints. It sees 10 accounts logging in from one address that is already known as a proxy, used by strangers all day, and it links them on the network alone. Every dollar spent on the browser was wasted because the IP underneath gave the game away. The fingerprint was perfect and it still did not matter, which tells you which layer to respect. And there is a second limit worth knowing. An Antidetect browser is a browser, so it only helps with things you do in a browser. The moment your work is inside a mobile app, a browser profile does nothing for you, because the app is checking the device, not the browser. It reads the phone itself, the model, the operating system build, the device identifiers, things no browser profile can touch. That is a different layer entirely, the device layer, which is where real phones and cloud devices come in rather than browser profiles. Knowing which layer your problem lives in saves you from buying the wrong tool. So think of it as 3 layers. The network layer is your proxy, the browser layer is your Antidetect browser, and the device layer is your actual device. An Antidetect browser is the right answer for the browser layer, and a very good one, but it only works when the network layer underneath it is clean too. That is where my own site comes in, and yes, that is me disclosing my bias. I sell proxies, so naturally I think the proxy under your profile matters. But you can check that for yourself, run 2 identical profiles on 2 different IP qualities, and watch which one survives. If you want the full tested comparison of all 4, the current pricing, the free tier limits, and which one suits which kind of operator, I keep it updated at blackhatreview.org/category/antidetect. I do not sell any of them, so the only thing pushing the ranking is what actually held up. Figta, next up I am getting into SMA panels, the best ones, and how to spot the resold scam ones, because that corner of the market is where a lot of people quietly lose money. If that is useful, subscribe. There is one tested, honest review here every weekday. I will see you in the next one.